and welcome to Not All Fire. I'm Jude Evans.
And I'm Joe Hart.
And welcome to this week's show. I want to say I think this is episode 104.
Something like that. Hang on, I had Spotify open because I've just driven and it popped up. So stand by. Last week's episode was... This isn't as quick as I hoped it would be when I started this part of the podcast, and my Wi-Fi is not as good as I'd hoped. Yep, no Wi-Fi. Who knows? Probably 104. Complete failure of a check from me there.
Let me have a look then, because I am in a very different place to where I normally am. I am in my new operation director's house, because we are so organised that the only time we actually have to discuss how things are going to be and how things are at the moment is an evening. So yes, it's all good fun. All good fun. I also don't have any internet on Spotify, so I'm not quite sure what's happening with that. But anyway, so it's quite an interesting week this week, actually, because we've had two major anniversaries of fires. So we had the anniversary of King's Cross Fire last week, and we had the anniversary of Bradford City Fire on Monday earlier in the week. So two really big, significant fires, which we always talk about case studies, because they changed legislation, they changed guidance, and they made things better, but only because we had massive fires and killed loads of people.
So let me tell you what happened yesterday, and this always happens to me. So I was in the classroom yesterday delivering a training course, and I was teaching various different things, one of which the topics was the Bradford City Football Club fire.
I was also teaching yesterday, and we talked about the Bradford City fire.
Right, and this always seems to happen to me, that I'm teaching a case study, and somebody will say, "Oh, hey, did you see on LinkedIn this morning or in the news this morning? It's the anniversary of." And I hadn't realised, but on the bloody slide next to me, it said
the 11th of May. Yes,
it said the 11th of May, and I just hadn't clicked. I'd said 1980, whatever it was, and it's happened to me half a dozen times, honestly, with different case studies, and it happened again yesterday for the Bradford City fire.
No, we very much also had the same conversation in our training course. So I was just like, oh yeah, it must be about now, because it's the end of the football season. So and then there was a big discussion about how Lincoln City have gone up this year, and so we'll either be playing. I think there were some West Ham fans and some Tottenham fans in the training, and there was a discussion of which one of those two was going to go down to join Lincoln City. So as it's football, I don't really know. Sorry, boys football. I know girls football, not boys football.
Yeah. So. Oh, well, there we go. Yeah, big anniversaries. I've been doing case studies today as well, because I'm training again today. I'm teaching. So, I've been saying to the folks to collect case studies along the way, have a bit of a record of them, and see what we can learn from them. And certainly King's Cross and Bradford City should be on everybody's case study list, because they're so prominent. So, yeah, very good.
How many case studies was it we had to put together when we were at uni? Was it 100 case studies we had to gather? We had to write about 50 case studies that were fire and 50 case studies that were explosions.
Yeah, the an assignment on our masters to write up 100 case studies, which I look back on and reflect now as an academic as being, I mean, as a student, it was an awful assignment because it was such a big word count. But as an academic, I go, oh, fair play for writing such an easy assessment to mark, like to get somebody to write that much work and just go, case studies, how many? I don't know, 100. It was such a lazy and rubbish assignment. What are you going to learn from doing that? But yeah, as a learner, it was quite a good one to process and go through. I've still got my 100 case studies I had to write up. I did fit 500 words per case study or something, 50,000 words, like is it?
I will say, yeah, I still have mine, and I was looking at it probably a few months ago when I was looking at updating some training to see if there were any other interesting case studies. And the bit that I find interesting now is all the explosion case studies, because of course we don't really talk about the explosion case studies so much. And we just come back, well, it must have been towards the end of last year, because we just come back from Halifax in Nova Scotia. And of course there was the massive train explosion and boat explosion, where the boat carrying dynamite drove into the other boat and wiped out most of Halifax downtown.
Yeah,
so
that's an incredible case study. The Halifax explosion. Yeah.
We will eventually. We keep talking about all these case studies, and we also keep saying we're going to do a podcast just on case studies, and we will do it at some point when there's no news to talk about. But when is there ever no news to talk about?
Well, that's true enough, isn't it? Yeah, there has been plenty going on. So the anniversaries that we've got are, of course, very, very pertinent. I've
Absolutely.
seen a bit of a legal case study today. I haven't seen it. Have there been any fire? No, I have seen a fire. What was the fire that I saw? Oh, blimey, let me pull that up in the news. There was something that happened that I thought is noteworthy for this show.
Um, I want to
Have you
say
had anything you've seen?
we've had some e-scooter fires again in London. I think we've had two. I read some statistic that now said we're having an e-scooter fire in London every 5 hours. And I
Oh,
was
do you
just
know what
like,
that?
wow.
Yeah, that's what I'd seen as well. It was an article that I read yesterday in the Guardian that was every 5 hours. In fact, I've just pulled it up here. UK firefighters are called to a lithium-ion battery fire every 5 hours, according to data collected by insurers. 1,760 battery-linked fires in last year, 2025, which is a 147% increase on the last 3 years.
It's mad.
Mm,
But as we
I
all
know.
know, for those of us who use Deliveroo and Just Eat and all the other ones, when you order something like this and it turns up, um, especially if you're in a city and it turns up by a little man on a, and I am, this is very, very general. This is what I've seen. It turns up with a little man on an electric scooter with those funny warm hand pads that you can put your hands inside with an
Yeah,
extra
yeah.
battery strapped onto the battery.
Mm.
Because we were in Liverpool over the weekend.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. You were seeing Paul Simon, right?
We went to see Paul Simon. Highly recommend Paul Simon. He's 84. He's quite frail and weak now. He did sit down for a lot. He made an entire 7,000 seater auditorium bawl their eyes out when he sang Sound of Silence acoustic with his guitar as the very last encore. It was
Oh, yeah. Amazing stuff.
amazing. It was so good. But we've been to Liverpool and I mean, I love Liverpool. Some lovely, lovely foodie places. Num, 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 num.
Mm.
Amazing breakfasts. But everywhere, absolutely everywhere. E-scooters, e-bikes, people zooming around all over the place with backpacks on and food place on, and they're everywhere, absolutely everywhere.
Yeah, yeah. Do you know what I'm seeing a bit more of these days, which I do approve of, is these little robots that deliver food to you. You know, little robots that zip around on the road. There are a lot of them in Leeds at the minute. I was in
I've
Leeds over
not
the
seen that.
weekend. What? You haven't seen those?
No, I don't. I live in the middle of nowhere, as you well know, and we don't even have Deliveroo and Just Eat in our village, unless you, as we've said before, unless you
Right.
ring up the lassie who owns the chip shop and gets her to drive some round. We don't have anything like
Right,
that.
yeah.
We don't have that in the
And
village.
I'll tell you what I did see over last weekend. Not in the weekend. Last week I was in the London office. And for the first time in London, I saw driverless taxi. I know. Do you remember I was talking
Like
about the
that.
Waymos over in Los
Yeah.
Angeles? And I was there a few weeks
Oh
ago.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
saw one in London on Bishopsgate. The exact same ones, the Jaguars that they've hacked to be the Waymo driverless taxis. So they're coming. They're in London now.
Wow. I tell you something I did see, which I follow a gentleman who lives on Instagram. I follow a guy who's married to a Chinese lady and lives out in China, and he posts lots of things about being. He's Welsh, to be fair, so about being living in China and the differences. And they ordered food using a drone.
Mm,
So there was a space in a square by a river, and they programmed in some stuff, and then this drone came along with a food package and landed on a unit and dropped the food, and the food came down into the unit, and then they opened it and it flew away. And I was like,
right.
that's quite modern.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
They were
yeah.
like, the food wasn't massively warm.
Sure.
So
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, so but yeah, I mean, all of these things, because you now sit there and you go, well, what kind of batteries do drones have? Lithium ion,
Mm.
because they're light, because they're small. So if we're now starting to use those, I mean, does your drone have lithium ion battery? It must do, I assume.
Yeah, it does. And I'm just looking on the shelf to see because I'm in the office tonight.
I know. I was
And
like, I can see you scanning the office shelves for it.
genuinely, let me turn the camera around. I'm in the kind of staff room where we keep all of our research stuff, and the drone's normally here. I tell you what I do have though, and I'm amazed I've just done this. In my office building, there is the various businesses that make up the group that I'm here with. One of which is Bad Move Studios, who produce this podcast, who have a studio downstairs, but I am not sat in the studio. I've chosen to sit in the staff room instead. I'll tell you what the reason for that might be is that over here is the lunch table from today, and there's still a little bit of cake left. And I think I might have sat in here
Oh,
subconsciously because halfway through, instead of sitting in the podcast studio, it might just be a bit of a cake podcast. But yes, anyway, I'm scanning over there for my drone. I can't see it. It's down in the studio. But yes, it is lithium ion. You get 3 batteries that you swap in and out. Very, as you say, it's all about being lightweight with the drone. Mine's 249 grams. It's under 250 grams.
Oh, wow.
By design. So you get this very small battery, which has you can get about 20 minutes of flight on it. It uses a lot of the charge taking off and landing. So if you take off and land over and over again, you probably get 6 or 7 minutes. If you take off and fly for 15, you can do a safe landing. So yeah, not very strong batteries, but they are lithium ion. Yeah, so there is a risk.
I also think that our scanning technology has got a lithium ion battery as well.
Yeah, well, that's over there. I can see that. That's staring right back at me in the staff room here. Yeah,
I thought I saw it in the corner.
So does everything, though. Everything's lithium ion these days, isn't it?
I know. Phones, computers.
Oh, I'll tell you something about my phone, right? I've not done this yet on this show because we had a couple of weeks. Well, I had a couple of weeks off, and we didn't record for a month. So stuff that's happened in between. I was on a flight a month ago, whatever, and my iPhone I smashed ages ago because I dropped it and it just crumbled into a million bits. So when I was on the flight, you can see there it's got all the cracks in it and stuff.
That's very poor, Joe. Get a case.
Yeah.
Get a case.
I know. I need a case for it, honestly. But when I was on the flight, it was still turned on, and I thought, bugger, I've got to do the flight mode thing. Picked it up, and my life, it was warm right there where the battery is, and I had a real panic. I thought, is this because I'm in a flight and it's pressurized and it's starting to bulge? No. So I'm never flying with that phone again. I've got a new one coming, actually.
I'm really glad, because that absolutely is in the nicest possible way, Joe. That phone is a death trap.
Thank you. I know. Dropped it and it smashed. I've never had a phone that smashed, and that one was the tiniest little fall from a table, and it's in 1,000 pieces.
This isn't an advert, but if they want to sponsor us, they can. This is an OtterBox. I have thrown this phone down the outside of a building from the 3rd floor of a scaffolding when I was doing an external wall inspection for a new build, and it literally bounced all the way down, all 3 floors, to the mud on the floor. Fine, no drama, no cracks, no nothing.
Well, thank you to our friends at OtterBox, who I trust will be sending me a black case for my new iPhone, whatever it is. Thanks, guys. Appreciate that. Yeah, nice.
Did you see the BAFTAs at the weekend?
I did see the BAFTAs at the weekend. Do you know what? I actually watched it start to finish. Weirdly, I was sat on Sunday night and I was thinking, what's on? I think it was Sunday, wasn't it? And I stuck it on. I thought, I'll watch this. Watched it start to finish. And I know what you're going to talk about. I think it's probably not Adolescence, is it? Which did very well.
or indeed Bake Off, or indeed all the other things that won. Or Last One Laughing, I think, won an award as well, didn't it?
Yeah. And bless Mary Berry as well. She was very sweet on it, wasn't she?
Bless Mary Berry, yes, who is almost as old as David Attenborough.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Mary Berry for sponsoring this podcast and for sending cakes for next week's lunch.
I was about to say Lego have just changed its upper limit from 4 to 99 is now 4 to 100 plus because of David Attenborough. I would like Lego to sponsor this podcast, please. Thank you very much.
Me too, actually.
I feel like I sponsor Lego with the amount of Lego I actually own. So, yes, the Grenfell Inquiry won a BAFTA last night.
The Grenfell documentary, it did, didn't it? Yeah, I saw that. Congratulations to those guys.
Professor Guillermo Rain was there on site. He was there.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah. Do you know what? And fair play, because I do. It warrants it. It was a great documentary. Yeah. It's still on Netflix. It crops up, and I've mentioned before that when we have trainees join our team who are who aren't from a fire background, we have them watch that documentary and take some notes as part of their own learning, because it's an educational documentary. But I think it helps sharpen focus to understand the significance of the work that we all do. It's a great piece of work, and yeah, fair play for getting the BAFTA, 100%.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think I recommend it at least once a week to people. I recommended it to everybody who was on the course again yesterday. So it's such an achingly beautiful piece of work. Yeah,
I agree with that. It's a nice way of putting it as well. Yeah. So yeah, congrats to those guys for winning the BAFTA. That's huge. Yeah,
I know, that's really, really cool. So have we had? I don't think we've had any new legislation. We were talking today about the fire safety section of AWAB's law, but I don't think that's coming in yet. I think that might be November rather than April, because a lot of stuff came in April.
Yeah.
I think they've suddenly realised it's slightly bigger than possibly they imagined. But yeah, I don't think we've got any new guidance as such. However, you were telling me about the and your court case that's just popped up.
I heard about it this morning because a colleague Ben sent it to me. I think it was actually in the news yesterday.
Yeah, I saw it on LinkedIn this morning when I was having my breakfast, doom
Yeah.
scrolling the business Facebook, as I occasionally do.
It's now just the Facebook though, isn't it? Let's be honest. Or the ChatGPT Facebook. I don't use it
ChatGPT
anymore.
Facebook for business, yes.
Yes. Well, let me pull up the article then that was shared with me, which is in Construction Inquirer, and it is related to something we've discussed on this show before, which is building liability. So,
yeah. So
the case
just so when we discussed it before, we discussed Balfour Beatty having responsibility for a company they bought that had gone into they mothballed the company, but the building was a building in Bristol that they were therefore responsible for.
Yeah, the Building Liability Order, or BLO, came in under the Building Safety Act. It's Article 130, I think, of the Building Safety Act. And what it sought to do was, where a company has liability, and that's limited to an individual company that's part of a wider structure. So there are sister companies and parent companies and things, which is super common in construction. What a building liability allows the claimant to do is to seek that liability from one of those other entities. Now, in non-legal terms, in simple terms, that means if a company owes you money and it's for building defects related to safety and they don't exist anymore, but there is another part of their organization that does, you can chase them. That's what the building liability order allows you to do. So it's really common in construction that let's say a construction project's going to go ahead, a development's going ahead, and a new company is established to deliver that project.
Which we've talked about happens a lot, and I didn't realise how often it happened.
All the time. Yeah, really, really common. There will be a company that's set up that is building limited, and they're building a fire head office. They'll set that up. All the funding for that one project goes into that company. That pays all the bills. If there is some kind of discrepancy in future, that company's closed down, but all the staff move to a new firm, all of the money's transferred across, and that's just a sister company of an existing contracting business, for example, right? Now, the news that we've had here, I'm going to pull up the article. This is a case between Ardmore and Crest Nicholson. It relates to a building in Portsmouth in the Admiralty Quarter. Admiralty Quarter Development is the name of it. 21-story resi tower and some other residential buildings from 2007 to 2009. Now, what's happened and what's been reported today is that a building liability order was issued between Crest Nicholson and Ardmore, which, let me read exactly from the article so I'm not misquoting. So, quote, in a fresh blow for the contractor group, Mr. Justice Constable refused an application for more time to pay, ruling the companies must satisfy the adjudication award within 14 days. So this is Ardmore Group related companies, again quoting, have failed in a last-ditch attempt to stop Crest Nicholson enforcing a £14.9 million building safety payout after the High Court refused permission to appeal. So building liability.
They've got 14 days to pay £14 million.
Do you know, funnily enough, I got asked that in my training course today, right? And the question that was asked was, we were talking about this and I hadn't read that about 14 days yet. And one of the delegates today said, God, you'll never guess how long they've got to pay £14.9 million. And I said, is it 14 days by any chance? And they went, oh, bloody hell, do you know that? Where's that written down? I said, it isn't. But here's my rule of thumb. Anything legal is just always 14.
14. It's always 14 days, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. At the moment, I'm in a legal battle with a client who owes me some money, right? And
I am aware. Let's say I am aware.
Yeah, lots of people are aware of this deal.
Yeah.
And it's going to court. It's progressing. I can't talk about what's going on there, but it's the money that's owed to me, so I've taken them to court, right? I'm the claimant, they're the defendant. Remember when I said I can't talk about it? Here we go.
Don't talk about it. Don't talk. But I will stop you, Joe.
Yes, thank you. Essentially what's happened, we're going back and forth, and every time there is a push, which is we need to add more to the defence or to the claiming case, it's always a 14-day extension. So I don't know what that 14 days, where it comes from in the legal world. It just always seems to be the standard rule of pushing 14 days.
couple of weeks. Yeah.
But seemingly, what's happened here is £14.9 million is owed by the developer to the client. They've enforced a building liability order to say that even though the entity that built it at the time doesn't exist, you as a group owe us that money. The contractor has pushed back and said, we don't agree with that. We want more time, or we want to investigate it. The High Court said, it's enforceable. You owe the money. You got 2 weeks to respond, and it's a 15 million quid claim. Now that is the Building Safety Act being used to enforce a client's rights under the building liability order. It is big news.
That is big news. So yeah. my next question to that is, for some of my buildings, every now and again, I sign collateral warranties. So basically, if something happens, then I have some responsibility. I'm absolutely fine because I'm perfectly confident in the advice I've given and what we do.
Yeah.
All of the collateral warranties have a 12-year finite time.
Yeah.
Would the building liability order circumnavigate that 12-year time?
Would a building liability order circumnavigate a
collateral
warranty?
Do you reckon?
Oh,
I mean, this is very much the kind of thing that us as business owners of fire engineering companies or fire risk assessment companies or something like that, these are very much, we get sent this kind of thing all the time. I got sent a JCT. What's a JCT stand for? Joint, whatever JCT stands for. But it was a contract that said that actually made it look like I was a contractor that was going to do physical work. I sent it to my person who I send all my documents to say, should I be signing this? And he came back and said, no, that's the wrong one. You need a consultant one, not a contractor one.
Yeah.
So, but these are the kind of things that happen, and these are the kind of questions you need to really know to make sure, because if you turn around and say it's a finite time, if anything happens in this 12-year period, then yes, that's fine. I totally take responsibility. If it's outside of that 12-year period, tough.
Yeah, I completely pick up on what you're saying there, because I taught a 7-hour training course today. Then I went and had a 2-hour meeting with my lawyer, and then was 15 minutes late to record this podcast. And now I'm going out for dinner tonight with some colleagues. Busy day, 2-hour lawyer meeting in the middle of that, because that's the job, innit? We deal with this all the time. I deal with contracts day in, day out. The question about building liability orders and collateral warranties is an interesting one, but I think they're probably diverse. Are they
two different types of cheese?
They are, I think, because a collateral warranty essentially ties you in as a subcontractor for liability to the ultimate client, i.e. the person that's appointed you as the middle person isn't liable for a mistake that you make. You have liability. Now, if in future someone came with a building liability order against you, I suppose, if it's within that 12-year period, what they would be saying is that it's your sister company that's responsible, not a warranty would say that. So yeah, I think they're slightly different cheeses.
Fine.
God, they're all things we need to understand though, and the joint court tribunal thing, a JCT. There's so many things that you have to learn, isn't there?
Oh no, yeah. And sometimes, because people will just send you things and go, oh yeah, no, you're working on this project, can you sign this? And I'm like, wait there a second. And we share the same. We share the same in insurance broker. And I sent him so many documents to read because I'm like, I don't understand this. Do I want to sign this? And he will turn around and say yes or no.
Yeah. Do you know what I've learned through bitter experience? And it's part of being a business owner to have these little tricks. The shorter the email where somebody asks you to send something, the more critical it is. So if somebody sends you a big long email saying, hey Joe, how's your day going? Hope you had a good holiday. How's the dogs? I've attached a thing for you to review. It's probably fine. But if I get an email from a lawyer that just says, please find attached for your attention, straight away it's going to my lawyer and the broker, because it's probably a bit more critical. Weird little rule of thumb, but the shorter the inquiry, the more critical it is. The longer the inquiry, and perhaps the more friendly, the less important it is. But yeah, I've probably signed 4 or 5 contracts a week at the minute, which is busy time.
Busy. Yeah, start the financial year as well, which is always kind of a really weird time, because all of a sudden, certainly for me, working with a lot of different local authorities and housing associations, whose, I suppose, finances run from April to March, then this is very much the time of year that everybody goes, yeah, quick spend money. Some of my tier one housing contractors, one of them runs May to like 1st of May to the 1st of May, and the other one runs from June to June. And it's like, I know when we spoke before and you said you originally set the business up to run October to October or something, I can't remember. It was a slightly weirder time. A lot of schools run September to August. So there's no rule of thumb for financial years, really. I did read something about why most people's financial year is the 1st of April, and I can't remember what it was now. I will save that for another episode to look into.
Mine used to be staggered because I used to have, well, I still have, but I had 4 businesses that were set up at different times of the year. And what I had for all of them was no partial year accounts. So if it was started on the 1st of October, that business's first year was a full financial year. And that allowed me to never have a loss-making business within its first accounting period. It gave me a full year to test the business. Now, what I did was when each of those businesses got over a year and were in profit, I aligned them all to April. So I had one that was October because I set it up on the 1st of October, did a full year. Then my second year was a shortened one up to April, and now they're all 1st of April. But I didn't want to do a short year, and in 6 months you might not turn that business into what it's going to become. I wanted a strong first year, so all of them had a first financial 12 months with accounts, and then moved it across. It's one of those quirks with setting up businesses of how they're portrayed and stuff. Yeah.
Such a joy.
Isn't it?
So, let's bring it up now. I don't think we're going to record an episode next week. The reason for that is you're doing a conference on Tuesday, and then I'm at a 2-day conference on Wednesday and Thursday, and we've literally run out of time between all of these things to find a window to record the podcast, just purely because we're traveling all over the place, all over the country, and we're both going to be at conferences for quite a lot of the mid part of the week.
Yeah.
Tell us about your conference then, Joe.
Well, I'm presenting next week at the IFE Norfolk and Suffolk branch is Emerging Risks Conference at Duxford on Tuesday of next week, I think it is. So I'm presenting my wildfire research work, the update of that from what I've been doing over in California, presenting some stuff about climate change, a load of my research work, essentially. And then our recording for this show is on a Tuesday, and I don't mind sharing. We record at 7 p.m. on a Tuesday. Today we've brought it forward by 45 minutes, and I can barely squeeze in that change, let alone a change to another day, because my schedule is jam-packed at the minute. But yeah, on Monday next week I'm driving down because a little normally when you present at a conference there's like a meal and a few drinks, which I'm doing. And then it's a good little presentation. Well, mine is, but then it's a good little list of speakers as well. So we've got information in there about BESS. We've got stuff about the nuclear industry. We've got some stuff about EVs, I think, and photovoltaics. And then I'm doing wildfires.
Fun.
Just written the presentation last week. So yeah, it should be fun. Tell us about your presentation, or your conference rather.
I'm going to the Tall Buildings Conference. Lovely. Oh, come on, brain. His name was there, and then
Russ
absolutely.
Timpson.
Thank you very much. I've had quite a lot of meetings today, and my brain is a little bit frazzled, same as yours. So yeah, lovely Russ Timpson. And his Tall Buildings Conference is the 10th Tall Buildings Conference. I want to say it's in Canada Water. Is that one of the buildings in Canary Wharf? We're on the 39th floor. I'm not totally convinced I've ever been in I've been to up tall buildings like the CN Tower and various places around the world. I'm not sure I've been in a tall building on the 39th floor before. That's quite fun. I'll be able to see my hotel. Depending on the direction, I'll be able to see my hotel in Brentwood from because I can certainly see Canary Wharf and the buildings at Canary Wharf from my hotel. So we've got some really good presentations. Elspeth, lovely Elspeth Grant's going to be there. She's talking about PCFRAs and the fire part of AWAB's law. Brent Brooks is doing Canadian fire safety. He's an ex-Canadian high-rise leader, fire safety leader from Toronto. certainly Professor Ed Gallia is talking on the second day. Kizzy Augustine is hosting, and there's some stuff about legal lawyer talk on the Thursday. I'm going to say Dr. Barbara Lane's going to be there as well on the Wednesday. She's in a panel at the end. There's some, again, really good speakers, really interesting. A lot of emerging technologies, a lot of AI, a lot of, can AI write a fire strategy? Can AI help with this? Can AI help with that? You know me, I'm old, I don't like AI, it scares me. My sister loves Copilot and ChatGPT and all of these kind of things. There's a new one that she's started using that seems to be running her life. I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, I'm still a little bit suspicious.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm adopting it. I was using ChatGPT. I use it a fair bit to plan different things that I'm working on. And it said to me the other day, in fact, this was a really cool exercise, right? So I put all of my workouts into ChatGPT, and it's like my personal trainer. It's cheaper than a personal trainer. And it said to me the other day, because I upload my schedule to it, and I say, I need to get some workouts in this week. When can I go to the gym? What should I train? And it said for this week, you should go steady because you're teaching this week. And I hadn't in that session uploaded my teaching schedule, and it had remembered it. And it was a really fair insight to say you should go steady in the gym because you're teaching, and that's quite intense. Now, it had the foresight to know that teaching is exhausting. It had the foresight to know what my teaching schedule was. It had the foresight to know that generally I'm not going to really fancy it, and it planned it around it. And it felt like speaking to a proper human. So yeah, it's I'm impressed. I'm adopting it. I know we should fear it, and the future is scary.
Anyway. But... Nope, I've just employed somebody to do that for me. She's going to tell me all what I need to do for that. So
yeah. Oh well, that sounds quite a fun conference to be fair. I remember you going last year. You reported back, didn't you?
I did. Do you know? I want to say this is the third one I've been. I think I went to the 7th, and then the 9th and the 10th. So yeah. Do you know what? It's not the cheapest of conferences. It's always in a really cool spot. They always have. Russ has the best speakers. You get some people from all over the world. There's an Australian lady who's going to talk about. Is she talking about something to do with fire strategies? There's so much. There's so much knowledge in the room.
Yeah.
I think is probably, and it's always so interesting, and it'd be lovely to see Elspeth and Kizzy and the sort of people that I hang out with as well. So, but yeah, it's I really enjoy it. I really enjoy it as a conference. So at least when we do the podcast in 2 weeks' time, we'll have loads to feedback. We'll do it very much a conference special, and we can talk about both conferences and who the speakers were, and do sort of a summary of all the different bits and pieces. So that'll be quite fun.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, let me tell you a little then about what I've been teaching today and what I've been teaching this week. Although I've got a couple of your team in my training course this week, so you're probably getting it fed back to you anyway.
To a certain degree. So I've got Chris, who's actually doing his fire engineering degree, and then I've got Roger, who's come on more as a CPD exercise, so he gets a bit more knowledge and understanding about some of the stuff that he's starting to get more involved in, really. So
yeah, it's been a good week for them. I think it's worked well because, as you say, one of the teams enrolled on the full diploma, so I'm the course lead for the diploma. It's his first teaching week, so it's the first one where he'll do all 4 and build up the diploma. So we've just finished today Unit 1, which is Fire Science for Fire Engineering Design. So that's a 2-day course, and then we start tomorrow afresh with Fire Engineering for Fire Engineering Design. So it's Unit 1, Unit 2 of the diploma, but you can also just do 1 unit at a time, get a bit of CPD, or do your assessment, get a certificate anyway. So the guys have been great. It's a nice little cohort this time. We've just today done some ASET, RSET calculations this morning for a factory building, which has been good. Working out the full RSET calc, how we might determine the pre-movement times using the MBA methodology, and kind of find engineered solutions underpinned by science, which has been fun. The example I like to use is in my own training centre here, where I've been teaching today. You can stand at the front, and this was a really nice insight on the course today. If you stand at the front door and you look down the corridor, there's quite a long corridor with all the rooms off it, but you can see the back door. And what that means is that the building has a really simple building geometry in terms of you stand on that corridor, you can see both final exits. And that means our pre-movement time, if you follow BS 7974, is really low. And the only reason we can do that is because I moved a vision panel. I flipped a door around and I did that. And that, as an engineered solution, is enough to reduce your pre-movement time under the methodology by about 120 seconds by installing a vision panel.
Wow.
And it's the simplest little solution, but when you follow the guidance, it gives you such a benefit, right? A 2-minute saving in terms of your R set for sticking a vision panel in. So we've done that scenario today, which was really fun. And then we've been in the lab this afternoon doing some fire tests, some wildfire tests, which the guys have all been filming. And then one of their assignments is to take their own footage, find a still from it, and annotate where you've got burning brands, radiation, convection, and conduction. So,
fun.
Yeah, we've had a good week of it so far. Tomorrow we come in, we do a little bit of law and some building regs, and then we do a bit more design. But yeah, it's a really nice program to teach this one. I'm enjoying it a lot, and I get to use my own facilities, which is good fun. So I get to use my own lab, and yeah, I love using the white.
It's what you've been working
scribbling
towards. Yeah, it's what you've been working towards all of these years.
It is a bit, and it's quite nice to have your name above the door and all that, albeit terrible sometimes because you've got a lot of responsibility. It's nice to stand in a classroom and use all your own kit. So it's been lovely, 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 lovely today, to be fair. Enjoyed it.
Fun. Well, that's good. Yeah, I did. The training I was delivering yesterday was responsible premises manager, responsible person training. So it was for people in one of my local authorities who manage the building or who are responsible for the day-to-day activities of various buildings. And it was just a bit about some of the safety, some of the things about contractors and how they manage stuff, and a bit about passive fire and active fire systems, and then very much about when you get an FRA, what does it all mean?
Right.
Why do we do the bits and pieces that we do, and sort of quite a deep delve into fire risk assessment, really. That was quite interesting. Just so that it means that when they get a piece of paper with all of this information on, they can go, oh, I know why you've said that now. I understand what that action means.
Yeah.
So yes, that was quite fun. So
how's the rest of your week looking? What are you working on now?
Lots of meetings today, did fire risk assessment. Building inspections tomorrow. So I'm off to the block of flats I've been working on for a couple of years now, where they're having remediation works because it was built very poorly about 25 years ago, and we're making it safe. And I go there once a month and poke around and make sure everybody's doing everything correctly. And then I've got 2 brand new blocks of flats that I'm doing fire risk assessments on and building inspections on. I'm fun on Thursday morning. I'm driving down to Brighton doing a retrospective fire strategy for a building. Weirdly, I've done a retrospective fire strategy for part of the building before, and now I'm doing a retrospective fire strategy for the landlord areas and some of the other parts of the building. So that's it's interesting because, of course, if you do a section and you go, well, that's the section of the building, but actually now we're doing the whole building, including all the envelope and all the roof areas and bits and pieces like that. So that should be quite interesting. It's bound to rain. It's at the moment, every time I go to Brighton, it rains. So it has stopped raining here and the sun has come out, which is quite remarkable.
Beautiful.
But, so a few meetings, and then next week I'm doing a chemical assessment on a school Monday and Tuesday.
Science labs and stuff like that, is it?
Science lab, so COSH assessment. So we're basically going out and reviewing what chemicals they hold. Quite concerned about how they manage their radioactive samples.
Oh, do they have radioactive samples in schools? Is that commonplace in schools these days?
GCSE level uses radioactive stuff. I know, it's fun. So you get these. You have a lead box in a cupboard with big symbols on, and then that's in another locked cupboard, and then you have sort of 6 samples. And what you do is you measure them by, and this sounds really daft, because you point them downwards and they're in a lead box, and then you pick them up and you kind of put like a Geiger counter underneath them, and then to check what's coming off, and then you put a mirror underneath them to see if they've been damaged, because you can't look at them, because if you look at them then you're pointing radiation in your face.
Right. Okay. Fair.
Yeah. So It's really daft because you just got to be really careful about where you point them, as daft as
Right.
it sounds, because they are radioactive. So,
Of course.
but you have to check them on a regular basis to make sure they've not been damaged or they've not started to go a funny color,
Yeah.
or degrade in any way. So, yeah, and then it's just looking at, normally it's things like, have the premises team hidden some petrol in one of the cupboards so they can use it for filling up leaf blowers or something around the area. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of that kind of thing as well. Food tech, design tech, all of these different subject areas, they've all kind of got their own different assessments for their own different chemicals that they use. So yeah, that's it's an interesting. I mean, I don't do an awful lot of what I class as the old school health and safety that I used to do.
Hmm.
But this particular school, I still do quite a lot of health and safety for them. So
Yeah.
it's quite nice. It's quite a nice school. It's a really interesting building, actually. It's got a science tower which is 4 stories, and it's still a council managed school, which there obviously aren't very many because most of them are academies now. And it had compressed straw paneling on the outside of the building,
Okay. Yeah.
slightly combustible.
Yeah.
We've been saying this for a number of years. And it wasn't until the fire service went in, the council really did anything about it. And so they've just spent the last year, I think, taking the panels off, fire stopping, and then putting non-combustible cladding on the outside of the building, screwing it down and rendering it to remove the risk. So
Hmm.
that's been a huge, and that's quite interesting because it's only really it's not a residential building. It is surrounded by
Yeah.
residential. It's just a secondary school.
And what you said the net type of building there? Did you say a science tower?
Yes, so it's
What's a tower of science? What does that mean?
yes, so it's got 4 stories. On the ground floor is the sports hall changing rooms, which is next door. On the first floor is biology. On the
Right.
second floor is physics, and on the top floor is chemistry.
Oh, okay, cool. I've never seen anything like. Certainly never heard to it referred as a science tower. Is this
Science
just a
tower.
phrase in common parlance that I've missed?
No,
Or
it's literally this particular school has a building that has a tower that contains all of its science labs.
a
So it's
tower
got
of science? I like
tower of
that
science.
name.
So it's got, and always makes me laugh because they put chemistry at the top. I mean, there is a lift, I should say, as well, because of course we're moving science chemicals around. But we put chemistry. And I always wonder, did they put? It's a bit like we've talked about in the past about where do you put a fire setter in a tower in a tower block? Do you put them on the top because if they set their room on fire, it doesn't take anything else out, or do you
Right.
put the
Okay. Yeah.
bottom? So I think they've put the chemistry labs on the top floor because if anything goes wrong, there's nothing above it.
Right. Okay. Yeah. The area of highest risk at the top, even though operationally it's hardest to get to if you were firefighting, if it's a fire event, it's also the least risk to those vertically above. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a bit of a trade-off, isn't it? But probably the right call in my view.
Yeah. But I mean, it's a classic 1960s. I mean, if you picture a 1960s flat-roofed school with the coloured panels and the windows,
Yeah.
that is the school.
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah.
on that principle, perhaps, and this gives you an insight into my project load at the moment, perhaps we should start putting electric vehicle car parks on roofs instead of in basements.
Oh,
That'd be helpful for me. It
we-
saved me a couple of headaches at the minute.
do you know? I mean, I read the talking about EV parking in car parks, in basement car parks especially. I reread the Zurich guidance about how to manage risks of EV car parking in basements, and it was like, make sure you can get a fire engine down there, make sure each individual EV car is in its own separate compartment, put sprinklers above everything, have water runoff space so that you've got a drain that it will all run off. And it's
Yeah.
always in it quite what's the word I'm looking for? Intense to try and
Yeah.
build something like that. So
Yeah, and somebody made a point to me on the course this week. I really love I do love teaching. I don't say it enough, but I do genuinely because you get quite a lot of like I learn as I'm teaching. And somebody made a point in the class yesterday, which I really liked, which was EV chargers, generally speaking, need cars for a lot more space. They're often larger cars, and they need to be. You need more spacing between them for fire safety as well. So where do we tend to put them? We put them in disabled spots close to buildings, because also the disabled spots are usually closest to the building, which is where you want the chargers. So we're losing disabled car park spaces so that we can put electric chargers in retrospectively to existing buildings. But also they're at the area of highest risk, because generally speaking, they're closest to the building.
Fire exits.
And by the fire exits and things, yeah. So one of the guys gave an example of electric car charging points that had been affixed to columns in a car park, of all places. So the highest risk, right on the most critical part of the all the stories above. Yeah. Brilliant. So I've got some challenges with that at the minute. I'm going to do some CFD on it and see what we can see.
Wow, that is that's quite that is quite a challenge. We had one where, and I'm still trying to get it moved, although they have switched it off now, where they'd installed some, without asking anybody, they'd installed some EV chargers on the outside of a building right next to some opening windows, which was where lots of people hung out, and right close to a final fire exit where probably 400 people would come out.
Wow.
And I was like, who made that? Who said that was a good idea? So,
yeah.
So yeah, but we haven't managed to get them switched off now. So
that's fair. That's good.
Such a challenge. Well, thank you very much, Joe. That's been lovely as ever.
Cheers, you.
Yeah, as I say, sorry to everybody for next week. We literally we can't. It's just mad at the moment. Busy business. But yes, we'll be back in a couple of weeks' time, and we will certainly do go over the conferences that we both attended in good detail. So
absolutely, I look forward to it.
Well, thank you very much for listening. Thank you for watching, those who are watching. Any questions, as ever, notallfire@gmail.com, and I will pass them straight to Joe to answer.
Oh, no pressure. We'll answer them equally. We'll do an equal share of them.
Do an equal share.
Please. All right, awesome. Thank you, Jude. Thank you, listeners. Thank you, watchers. We'll see you on the next one.
See you later. Take care.
See ya. Bye now.